Code of conduct.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I put in extra work that just can't be found. I took the sword out the stone, wasn't a thing. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king. God made me punch in accurate numbers. My castle won't crumble. What I tackle will fumble. I've been a leader when they ain't see it, but now my feet is up. According to me, royalty didn't end with King Tut. Crown on my head, clouds is at my legs. Big says sky is the limit. I look down on the ledge. I push the bar like I'm opening a cell. Hands in my cookie jar, you won't come out with a single nail. I need all of mine. The weight of my shoulders won't fit on a scale. What's a king to a giant? Well, Goliath fell. Even if we playin' chess, dog, this king can't be checked. I make all my moves on the board, I invented my steps. I'm a king, the blood of a ruler, I feel like Mansa Musa. Make your squad disappear like landing by the Bermuda. Triangle, look at it from my angle. I'm a king, the closest thing to being one of God's angels. I'm a king. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I put in extra work that just can't be found. I took the sword out the stone, wasn't a thing. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is the Code of Conduct with the King podcast. I am your host, Jay Spence the King, and I am excited for this week's episode. I am happy to be back. We got some Bills football this past weekend. We got a bunch of stuff happening around the NFL. We got some bad news, good news, got injuries, got some cuts. Bunch of stuff to talk about, and I'm joined by somebody who I tend to call a friend, somebody I look at as a mentor, somebody who is big homie me in this whole thing. My man Antwan Staley, new beat reporter for the New York Jets. I'll let him introduce himself with all of that extraness. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? It's good to be Jets beat writer now for New York Daily News, and I'm happy to be with you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, man. That's a big deal though. The New York Daily News.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I'm doing all right for myself.
yeah, that's what's up, man. And it has been a while. We I think so. You've been on a couple times. I think the first time you were on, weren't you covering the Panthers?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just talk about that for a little bit. So you started with the Panthers,
I actually started
in NFL. I'm saying
Dolphins.
So, I thought you went to the Dolphins next. Okay, go ahead. So tell me a little bit about your career so far and how it's going.
Yeah, I covered the Dolphins from 2013 to 2018, and then I covered the Panthers from 2019 to till last year, really. And then now we're doing the Jets, so we're now back in the AFC East. So, like you said, I just have to make 2 more runs, and then I'll be 4 for 4.
Yeah, go ahead and hit New England up, and spend a little bit of time with them. Go ahead and enjoy some seafood, and then come to Buffalo.
Man, I don't know it's cold there, man. I don't know if I can handle it, man. But I do love the Bills fans. The Bills fans are great. So, yeah.
I feel like it's funny, too. Like, so the Bills fans, I feel like they embrace people that typically embrace the fan base. But you're one of the dudes that, like, when I watch, like, how you interact with people, and you really don't show any favoritism towards any fan. Like, you're not like, I'm kind of Bills Mafia. I'm not, like, you don't do that. Like, you just... You cool, you talk to everybody, and we've kind of adopted you in a way though. Like, we show you mad love. So, like, how did you get involved really with Bills Mafia like this?
Basically, what happened was it's Josh Allen. Like, when Josh Allen came and played the Dolphins in 2018, and then like I loved him. I thought he was going to be a start in, and then this is obviously in the midst of a season where he struggled. He struggled as a rookie, had his ups and downs, but I saw a lot of potential in him, and I was just fascinated by him that day. He almost single-handedly beat the Dolphins by himself, and that was actually the last time the Dolphins beat the Bills in 2018. But yeah, he was just doing it on the ground, through the air, and I was like, this guy's gonna be a top quarterback in the league. Like, he has all the tools to be great. And then Dolphins fans were like, oh, you're crazy, like, you're nuts, like, he can't, this guy's gonna be garbage. And then Bills fans were kind of seeing what I saw too. And then, I think a lot of people kind of I got to gain a lot of people's respect that day, just because I could have easily just, said what I said and, catered to the Dolphins fan base. But, I really thought Josh Allen was going to be a great quarterback. And, here we are. I think arguably the best quarterback in football right now.
Yeah. And, and I think that's been consistent with the Bills fans. Like, there's been some beat reporters in Buffalo that haven't been like the most pro Bills, I should say, and Bills fans let them hear it. And then you get somebody like Marcel from ESPN when he had his time in Buffalo. He wasn't necessarily, again, he wasn't pro Bills like, hey, I'm a Bills fan, but he reported honestly, and it wasn't negatively slanted. So I think when that happens, the Bills fans just appreciate honesty, and we appreciate just regular reporting. Like, you don't have to bash us just because we jump through tables and drink beer and do all that craziness, man. But so we appreciate you, man. So let's get to your new team, though, man. You with the Jets and the quarterback, man. So it's a rough situation for him. When it happened, I texted you. I'm like, yo, if his ACL is torn, this is messed up. But luckily, it wasn't an ACL tear. It was a kneecap injury or knee injury.
Meniscus. Yeah, okay. Meniscus injury. It was just like they just went in and just did a little simple procedure, but it wasn't a tear or anything like that. And they feel like he can be back outside chance, for week 1. I think what complicates it is the bone bruise. He also has a bone bruise too, which is going to keep him off his feet for a little bit. So I don't think they're going to rush him. They said they're going to wait till he's completely 100% healthy. I think they're fine with Joe Flacco starting week 1. And it's just crazy that Joe Flacco will be starting against his former team in the Ravens. Like, it's funny the storylines that we come up with, week 1 of the season. And this is adding to the list of them.
And it's almost like you would think like the NFL can't possibly create better storylines, but then it's like these just happen. Nobody would have thought that this injury would happen. But then, it seems like they're just, as far as leagues go, man, the NFL is undefeated, man.
Yes.
Like, I love the NBA. Basketball was like my first love as a kid growing up and stuff. But as much as I love Bron and as much as I love Katie and everybody, whoever, it's just, dude, the preseason, the Hall of Fame game gets way more viewers than like the NBA championship. And it's just crazy to me.
That's wild. Does. Yeah, it does. And then, I just saw like an article saying that, the preseason game between, I think, Pittsburgh and, I forgot who they were playing last week, got more viewers than the Red Sox Yankees last week. So nuts, I'm like, man. That's crazy to me. I'm like, really? And that game was on NFL Network and it still got tons of ratings.
Yeah. See, and so to get back to what we're talking about as far as Zach Wilson now, and them having somebody who I really didn't think would even be in the league at this point anymore to come in for him as his backup. I think the way I looked at it, if it would have been an ACL tear, I think the Jets would have absolutely tried to make a trade for somebody. I don't think we would have gone into the season like this for week 1. But Joe Flacco's not the worst option. He's not Nate Peterman, but Joe Flacco can still throw the ball, but I just can't see this being something that they're comfortable with for more than like 2 or 3 weeks.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, for a game or 2, I think they're fine with it. Like, they're very confident in Joe Flacco. I mean, they've said all the right things. I mean, obviously, Robert Saleh thinks that he'll tell you he thinks he has 3 starting quarterbacks. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I definitely think Joe Flacco is a good guy at this point in his career to have as a spot starter if you need it. But if this was more than a month or so or out for the season, then I'm sure they probably would have inquired about Jimmy Garoppolo. Everything made too much sense, as far as offensive system. He worked with LaFleur, in San Francisco. Obviously has a understanding Robert Saleh, knows who he is. So I definitely think had it been out for the season, then I think that would have been a perfect scenario for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. So when Zach Wilson comes back, because this injury isn't is not long term, it's not going to be full season. 4 to 6 weeks is kind of what I'm hearing. So that in a way it's around week 2, week 3. When he comes back and when he's healthy and he's back into the swing of things, from your perspective, I know you just got to New Jersey. You just got there. What do you feel like we can expect to see this year as a step forward, looking at Zach Wilson's play?
I see you were quick to say New Jersey.
New Jersey had to set the record straight.
But I mean, look, I think the Jets want to know an answer on Zach Wilson at this point. I mean, it's the second year in the league. I mean, obviously he struggled last year, but I definitely think the last 4 or 5 games of the season last year, you started to show a little bit of signs. He cut down on the turnovers, and I think that's what you want to see from a quarterback. I know, everybody's fascinated by the touchdowns and yardage and things like that, but I think some of the interceptions that he threw, including the one in the preseason game before he got hurt, is just kind of mind boggling. It's just kind of like, yeah, there's things that you just can't do. You can't just stare down receivers. This isn't BYU anymore. You're gonna have to, do some checks and make it seem like you're not going to certain receivers. And so, yeah, I think they just want to see some maturation in this process and really limited the turnovers. Something that he didn't do, at least early on in the season. I saw his first game in Carolina where he ended up throwing 4 interceptions, but I also saw some potential too, because he almost brought that team back and beat the Panthers. Not that that's really saying a lot, but because the Panthers wasn't really good, but still his first game as a rookie and still almost brought him back to win a game. So he has potential. It is the matter of just trying to rein that in. I'm not calling him like Josh Allen like that. I mean, I think they're two totally different players, but he has some characteristics like Josh Allen where he tries to do a little bit too much at times, well, at least early on in his career.
Yeah. Another thing that I feel like you can kind of compare early on career for Josh and now for Zach Wilson, they're polarizing figures. And now I don't know if it's for Zach. I don't know if it's New York because New York, that market is a rough market to be in. Whether you're playing basketball, baseball, football, hockey, doesn't matter. It's a rough market, and if you're not winning, they're beating you up in the paper. They're beating you up on radio. They're beating you up on TV. So, I just think it's a rough market. So I don't know if it's because it's New York or if it's polarizing because of the same reasons that Josh is polarizing. But I see a lot of the flashes that I guess a lot of people don't want to see. And Bills fans, of course, don't want to admit certain things. But, I think the kid has all the talent in the world if he can put it together.
Yeah, I think what it boils down, not to interrupt you, I think what it boils down to, and I think I had asked the question of Garrett Wilson yesterday about how of just the difference between catching the ball from Flacco as opposed to Zach Wilson, and he pretty honestly said Flacco knows how to put some touch on the ball when needed, and Zach throws it sometimes a little bit 100 miles per hour. I think just knowing those little things, nuances of the game, you don't have to throw the ball 100 miles an hour just to get it past defenders. Sometimes you need a little bit of touch on there. Just knowing that type of thing, I definitely think is key to his maturation process.
Oh, that was your question too. So you on the job, and then you get the question that question took off, man. Like, because everybody was so shocked because they were shocked at the answer. Like most times players aren't that candid, like I wish I could get a player on the team. It's like, oh man, but they just don't. They're not that honest. So it was shocking to hear somebody say that. In your estimation, when you hear him say, he's throws a player friendlier ball. When you hear him say that, interpret that for us. Translate.
I mean, basically, just kind of not throwing, the ball like so super hard. I mean, it's like baseball in a way. It's like it's a difference between a thrower and a pitcher. Like, you can throw the ball hardest. Anybody can throw the ball hard, but can you pitch? Can you get the ball in a certain spot at a target? That's the same thing with being a quarterback. Can you throw the ball in a window where not only your receiver can get it, and it doesn't always have to be super hard either. I think that's kind of what he was saying. Joe Flacco, I mean, he might have lost a little bit on his fastball, but at the same time, he still throws it hard enough where his receivers can go get it. And I think some of them appreciate that touch at times as opposed to, being young and thinking you have to break your receiver's fingers and throw it like Brett Favre or Dan Marino. And not everybody can do that, especially accurately like those guys can do it.
Right. Well, honest question for you. Because like I said, I know it's short term, but let's just say hypothetically, this did end up being one of those things because it's always one of the things where, like, say Flacco comes out week 1, he plays lights out. Like, say this guy comes out and it's Baltimore, so of course it's like, oh, he's gonna be up for this game. Say he throws 340 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Who do you think gives the team a better chance to win as a quarterback for the season? Like, do you think it becomes a quarterback controversy in New Jersey? I'm gonna keep correcting
potentially, yeah. I mean, because I think it's certain you have to find out about Zach Wilson at some point, but Is Joe Flacco's playing. If he goes out those 4 touchdowns and then Zach Wilson's still not completely healthy, then you start him again against Cleveland, and then they go 2-0 by some chance. Then you're like, man, what did you got a game
Yeah.
against Cincinnati week 3. Do you stick with Flacco, or do you go with Zach Wilson, the guy who hasn't been in there for the last however many weeks it would be at that point? So yeah, I mean, and how you talked about the New York media and spinning things, and yeah, it could get a little bit out of control if Joe Flacco just goes on a run there. But it wouldn't be I wouldn't be far fetched, because I mean, if they beat the Ravens, then I think they have a good chance to beat Cleveland, because we don't know what's going to happen, with Deshaun Watson in that situation. So, if they were to pull off that upset, 2-0 is not, out of the, realm of possibility.
You know what? And the Jets, I think they had a better offseason than, I mean, I think most people can be honest and say they had a good offseason. I
Yeah.
think they're heading in the right direction. And it's kind of now at the point like, okay, well, let's see what some of these pieces that we're adding, let's see what it looks like. And that's why it hurts when you lose a Mekhi Becton, when you lose, your starting quarterback for a couple of weeks, it throws the thing off. So, it's just one of those questions that it's like, what does it make sense for the team to actually even think about? Like, hey, we had a good offseason. Maybe let's just start Flacco.
Yeah, I mean, look, they got Dwayne Brown, who they ended up picking up, who I mean, at this point, he's a better player than Mekhi Becton right now, because, Becton didn't miss all of last year. It's going to miss all of this year. And we
Mhm.
don't necessarily know what he's going to be, especially 2D injuries like that for a guy that's 370 pounds. Like, that's like very brutal. So I'm curious to see how he'll bounce back from that. But yeah, I mean, they drafted well. I think everybody would admit that. You go up and get a Sauce Gardner, arguably the
Mhm.
best corner in the draft. To go and get a Garrett Wilson, somebody that can take the top off and arguably the best receiver in the draft, and to go back, trade back into the first round and get Jermaine Johnson when he was slotting, which people thought he was a top 5 or 6 pick in the draft potentially. Yeah, I mean, that's a home run of a draft, and you got Brees Hall, who a lot of people thought was the best running back in the draft. You pick him up in the second round too, as well. So yeah, they did a tremendous job. Whether it be free agency, also picking up Lincoln Tomlinson from San Francisco, fortifying their offensive line. They've gotten better. It's just a matter of you in the division with the Bills, who aren't going anywhere. Obviously, it's still the top dog. And then the Dolphins also got better too. Obviously, the main pickup they would allude to is Tyreek Hill there, also like Cedric Wilson to go along with their receiving core. So yeah, I mean, they just playing in a very tough division where other teams I think, are substantially better, at least at the moment. At least the Bills are. I will say that it's the Bills and everybody else.
Well, from your perspective coming in, because again, like now you're in the AFC East, but like I said, you just got here. So from outside looking in before you got here, looking at the Patriots, do you think, because now I feel like in certain ways I would have thought that the team took a step forward now. The last year I thought they played well. They made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. I thought he looked the part. He's not Josh. No, he doesn't have he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Aaron, but look, the guy's accurate. The guy's smart. The guy makes plays when he has to. He never really put the team in a position to lose the game. He always made sure he did the right things. I like him. I personally, and I hate
I do
admitting
too.
that publicly, but I like him. So, now it seems like coaching wise, obviously you got Bill Belichick, but we're hearing all this stuff. Like they don't have an offensive coordinator. They don't have how do you feel that the Patriots are positioned this year going into this season?
I think I put them in like them, the Steelers, in a certain category where they're going to win games. It's just a matter of like how many, because I never count them out because
Yeah.
of their pedigree and, obviously Bill Belichick. And yeah, I like Matt Jones. I think it's easy to kind of criticize him, but he did. I don't think anybody predicted them to make the playoffs. Well, I did actually, but very few people predicted them to make the playoffs last year, but they ended up, getting a wild card. I mean, they got smoked in the first round, but that's okay. I
Yeah.
mean, you have a guy like there, a
Yeah.
rookie, to be able to help a team get into the playoffs. Yeah, I mean that's all you want, especially considering they were like 7-9 the year before. So I would
Mhm.
not sleep on them at all. They're going to be. I think they do know who their offensive coordinator. They're just not telling anybody. I think it's going to be Belichick. I really do.
Okay.
I think he's going to be the one calling the plays. He just doesn't want to, you know, I think it'd be a collection of them, but I think he wants to call a lot of the plays and be in charge of that. So I would not sleep on them at all. Just like I said, I wouldn't sleep on a team like the Steelers either. Like they're a team that doesn't finish over 500. I mean, doesn't finish under 500, and they had a course out there in Ben Roethlisberger last year, and they still made the playoffs. So
Yeah.
so those are two teams that I will never ever count out.
See, Pittsburgh, I think, is actually going to be a lot better. Not like I don't think they're going to be, a 2 seed or a 1 seed, but I think Mitch Trubisky is a better quarterback than Ben has been over the last couple of years.
Yes.
I think Mitch Trubisky with better coaching, and they have better coaching in Pittsburgh. I think with better weapons, you have a couple guys there that I think, and you got a great running game. You got a really good offensive line, and you have some weapons. And then you have every year they have a solid defense. I think Pittsburgh could really make some noise. And you know what? Let's before we come back to the AFC East, because I just want to finish talking about the Patriots and Miami, and then get to Buffalo. But talking about Pittsburgh for a second, that division, the AFC North, I got beat up verbally the other day because I don't think it's a hot take though. I'm just speaking from purely a number standpoint. I don't think the Bengals are going to make the playoffs this year. Let me tell you why.
Ooh,
right. This is why I got beat up. I've been saying this. Well, so last season, I feel like Baltimore would have made the playoffs had Lamar Jackson not been injured. And I think they had 24 or 25 people on injured reserve for the year.
Correct.
Just incredible. Like, it doesn't happen. That doesn't happen this year. I think Baltimore is a lot better. We don't know if it's just 6 games or more with I'm talking about
Lamar. Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. So we don't know what's going to happen out in Cleveland. If it's 6 games, I still think Cleveland has a chance to be a pretty good team. I think Jacoby Brissett can win them 2 or 3 games. I think he can be a 500 quarterback before Deshaun Watson gets back. We just talked about Pittsburgh. That team might surprise some people. Now, if you look at the playoffs, you look at the season, even headed all up into the Super Bowl, I don't think the Bengals were playing football that was sustainable to be like, they're a juggernaut. The offense was barely scoring. The defense did their job. Did their job, but the offense was barely scoring. They weren't playing. They improved their offensive line, but they didn't protect the quarterback. I just feel like their division is improving. The AFC as a whole is improving.
Yeah.
The AFC West is come on. So I don't know. I don't think it's much of a hot take. I really don't think that the team overall is the Ravens. I don't think they're, I think they have a better quarterback than Pittsburgh, but I don't think they have a better team than Pittsburgh.
I think the Ravens will win the division, but I do have the Bengals making the playoffs as a wild card team. So you're not completely off. Like I think Baltimore. I think a lot of people are really down on Baltimore for whatever reason. I don't know. Like when Lamar Jackson has been, when healthy, like one of the better quarterbacks in football. But yet, because what their downward slide last year, we're just gonna just say, oh well, he's not one of the best in the game, and talk all this trash. Like he's been totally disrespected. Like this all season.
It's recency bias.
Totally. Like they were one of the best teams in football up until they played the Dolphins, and then they got the teeth kicked in. But it started like a downward slide after that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like I think Baltimore is going to bounce back. Like we talk about pedigrees with Pittsburgh and the Patriots. Baltimore has the same kind of pedigree too.
Yeah.
And then they're bully. Like they're a team that nobody really wants to play because they're going to hit you in the mouth and then let you know about it afterwards. So yeah, for me, like I think they're going to be the best team in the North. I think they have something to prove. And it would not surprise me if they're playing, past, the first week of the playoffs and maybe Bills, Ravens AFC Championship potentially. Like I think they're going to be that good this upcoming year.
I do too. I think Baltimore is the team after the Bills. Personally, I think Baltimore is the team to beat in the AFC. I think other teams have improved, but the reason why I'm saying is you got to remember with all of those injuries last season, Lamar Jackson was still in the MVP conversation before he got injured. They still had the most players from a roster that had the most players on injured reserve. They had the most players make the Pro Bowl. They had the most just what they put on the field, what that team, the coaching staff gets out of those players. And then Lamar Jackson, I don't care what nobody say. I'm tired. I'm done listening to people talk about he's not a quarterback and all this stuff. I'm tired of it. He's a quarterback and he gonna snatch your ankles at the same time.
Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say real quick, like, why do we give Lamar Jackson the same praise as Patrick Mahomes? Now, I think Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback, but I mean, he's up there too. When talking about the better quarterbacks, he's won an MVP. He's won.
Mhm.
He finally won a playoff game a few years ago. I mean, he is in that conversation of at least top 10 best quarterbacks in football. I just don't feel like we give him the same credit as we do some of the other quarterbacks in the league, even like a Justin Herbert, who has not made the Chargers have not made the playoffs under him at all, but yet he gets more better praise than Lamar Jackson up to this point. That just baffles me.
Yeah, and when you really watch him, and I mean really watch him, Lamar Jackson throws the ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it consistent. Like, he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not the guy that's going to go out there and throw it 45 times in the game and give you. But listen, if you play with Lamar too much, I promise you, he gonna make you pay for it. We've seen him do it. He was one of the most dangerous quarterbacks through the air the year that he won MVP. This wasn't just him rushing for 1,000 yards. Lamar Jackson is that dude. But enough praise for Lamar here. Baltimore fans, I don't like y'all that much. So I like Lamar, but Baltimore fans they've been getting a little touchy with my man Josh Allen. So we're gonna have to see them in a few weeks. Can't wait to go to Baltimore and see them. Because anyway, but back to the AFC East, man. So I agree with you. I think the Patriots are always have something to say. Miami. You covered Miami for a while, so I know it, in a way you still kind of have a vested interest. Do you think Tyreek Hill really improves the team that much?
Just him, no, because I think it's ultimately going to be about two things. One, how Mike McDaniel decides to use him in that offense, which I think, anytime you have a weapon like him, kind of like a joystick, someone that can, catch over 100 balls and, get you like possibly close to 1,500 yards. I mean, you're improving your offense, but, more importantly, it's going to be about Tua. Like how he matures and like how he plays. Like, this is it for him. Like, this is a critical year for him. They have surrounded him. Our Dolphin fans talked about how they didn't surround him with talent and this and that the last couple of years. They have done that throughout the course of the offseason. They've improved the offensive line. They've gotten weapons for him to go along with Jaden Waddle, also Cedric Wilson. They've improved the running game. They've also have a solid defense now. And you have one of the best corners in football on the other side of the ball is Xavier Howard. They got to do it. Like, you got to make the playoffs. And you talk about them, and like I said, I love my Dolphin fans, but they talk a lot of trash, but they better make sure the team can back it up. You would think that the Dolphins would be going 22 years strong without winning a playoff game with some of the checks that's been written on Twitter. I'll say that.
Man, real quick, I got a lot to say about that. A lot to say. But real quick, we got a word from my man Buffalo Freddy real quick. Okay, here's the deal. I know as Bills fans, we wait all year for the fall and the winter so we can go to the Bills games. I get it. Trust me, I do. But let me tell you why this time of the year is elite. It's party time. And we're going to party for so many reasons, whether it's a graduation party, a birthday party, family reunion, or just because it's Saturday and the weather's perfect. Here's the thing. My guy, Buffalo Freddy, has everything you need to make your party the best party of the year. We have everything from chairs and tables to premium tents, water slides, wet and dry bounce houses, and so much more. And that's not all. The best barbecue catering in Western New York has you covered, whether it's a small party or a corporate gathering. Buffalo Freddy Barbecue Catering makes everything easy for you. Rentals and bookings available now at www.buffalofreddy.com, or you can call 716-4FREDDY. That's 716-437-3339. Remember, for all your party rental needs, just call 4Freddy. My man Freddie, and I just want to remind y'all that y'all are listening to the Code of Conduct podcast on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso's Pizza. Treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's. We are pizza, shipping local and nationwide. Order online at picassopizza.net. So we went through the AFC East a little bit. I want to still talk about Miami a little bit. I agree that I think Tyreek Hill is that type of talent. You bring him there, he's supposed to be that guy. But yeah, Tua, man, he gotta show and prove. It's like Same thing. I just think quarterback play right now, it just seems to be polarizing, I guess, in the NFL in general. But when you look at Tua, you have obviously the Dolphins fans, but you have a lot of people that's saying like, well, you know what? He is accurate, which he is. And, and hey, he has been putting the ball on his receivers in practice. I still don't, something about me, I just don't trust it, man. And I feel like he's frail. I don't think he's injury prone. I think it's a difference. I think people don't know the difference, and I don't want to say he's injury. I just think he's frail. So he will be injured because of what he's playing and who he's playing against. I just don't. I don't know. What do you?
He's
what
small.
is your?
He's small. He's a small guy, especially at the quarterback position. He's listed as 6 feet tall. I know he's gotten bigger, gained some weight there. But yeah, it's just a consistency. I'm not saying Tua is a bad quarterback. I don't think anybody would say that. But the injuries were also like some of the inconsistent play throughout the course of his tenure there is always a big thing. I remember they had a chance to, solidify themselves as a playoff team last year. They go to Tennessee and they just get completely railroaded by the Titans without Derrick Henry, mind you, too. And then that game wasn't even close. And Tua was just looked like a guy that was nervous. I know it was raining out there. It was freezing rain. He wasn't necessarily used to the elements, especially considering where he's played. But yeah, that's a game you got to win, especially considering how deep of a hole the Dolphins were in. And then you had a chance to get into the playoffs, and they just couldn't do it. The same thing, like I'll flip it a year before that, a game against Buffalo. They had a chance to get to the playoffs. What happened? The Bills just pick party against them in big moments.
Keep reminding Miami fans. Just keep reminding them. Like, the only reason why the Bills lost that first one when Josh played is because of Charles Clay. That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, a Hail Mary. Like, if Charles Clay catches that ball, then Josh Allen has a perfect record against Miami, which that ball should have been caught too, by the way. But that's a whole different story. But had it not been for that, Josh Allen be just completely dominating the Bills, which he has. Like, I don't think anybody can argue that.
Now, I do think it will be a little bit different of a tune this year. I don't think that we're gonna. I hope we do. I don't think it's going to be a dominating situation this year where we go out there and we blow them out 45-10. But I still think we win, but I think it's more competitive because I do think the Dolphins, like you mentioned, they surrounded that team has talent. So I think it's going to be a better overall game. But I think what it comes down to in the fourth quarter, it's going to come down to quarterback play, and I don't believe in Tua.
Yeah, I just need to see him do it at this point. Yeah. I know he's good. I know he has the talent, but in those big moments, some people just, they rise up. They're clutch players, and other people are not. That's just kind of how it is. And so far in the NFL, Tua has just not been that guy. Maybe it's changed. Maybe the narrative changes this year, but I need to see it on a consistent basis.
They treated him like a yo-yo when they had Fitzpatrick there. Like there's in and out, pulling him in, pulling him out.
I don't know. Started him too, so I really do. Especially coming off that hip injury. Like I think he just needed to sit the entire year and then come back his second year and then become the starter.
Yeah, and I liked him coming out of Alabama. Like, seeing what we saw I liked him. I thought he was a good player, and I thought that he had potential to have a good career. But I think that injury, on top of coming back too early and then getting injured again, and then having a completely different type of injury. Because I think he had the hip, and then last year when he played the Bills, I think in week 2, was it like a broken rib cage or something? I forget what the injury was, but I just think, again, he's frail. So I think a lot of times with him being so small, I think this game is just too big for him. And it's unfortunate because I think he has all the talent in the world. His body it won't hold up.
Yeah, they're just going to have to find a way to just keep him upright for the most part. But I think he's going to be a guy that's going to always have a little bit of nicks as far as injuries.
Yeah. Well, I'm rooting for him. One more thing before we head up to Buffalo. I want to go back to your old stomping grounds, man. Baker got traded to Carolina. And, for those who listen to the Code of Conduct often, or those who follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I'm not really easy on Baker. I go hard on him. But I'm happy he's out of Cleveland, and I'm happy for him to have an opportunity at a new chance down there in Carolina. But do you think he's better? Like, is it a battle down there, or is it Baker? Is Baker the guy? Like, they traded for him, obviously. So, I mean, it's Baker. is Baker really that good? Like, is he giving them a better chance than Sam Darnold? And I mean, I
Yes.
know I'm laughing, but I'm asking seriously because I don't like Baker like that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you don't bring him in unless he's going to be the starter, but you don't want to necessarily say, "Oh, it's his job," but you
Yeah.
want to make him earn it. And I think that's kind of what they're doing there. I mean, look, they know what they have in Sam Darnold last. I mean, they saw what they had him last year. People were excited. I remember the Panther fans. They started 3-0, and then I was like, "Slow down," you know. You played the Jets, you played the Saints, and you played the Houston Texans. Like, just chill, you know. Like, let's see what he can do with better competition. And they lost to the Cowboys the next week, and then they only won 2 games after that. And of course, they brought Cam Newton in, so obviously they didn't have a lot of confidence in Sam Darnold at that point as well. But yeah, I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to make a bit of a difference. The Panthers have some skill position players there, and Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. I think is one of the
Hmm.
underrated receivers in football. I don't think a lot of people know him because he's played for some really bad Panthers teams. And if you can get Christian McCaffrey healthy, that's a big if because he's missed the
Hmm.
last couple of years. But if he can get healthy and then they don't run him into the ground, I think the Panthers, you can make things interesting in the NFC South. So I think it's a good situation for him. I know people back home in the Carolinas where I'm from are definitely, optimistic to see what Baker Mayfield can do.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, I guess for me, the reason why I was hard on Baker, and I think I'm gonna give him a new shot this year too. With him being in Carolina, he got a new shot, clean slate. But the problem for me was how he came into the league. I understand he had a good rookie year, really good rookie year, but he talked like he was Joe Montana, man. Like he was out there, like they won Super Bowls, and it's like, come on, man. You got to relax, Baker.
That's how he's always been. Like he's always been a cocky, confident guy. And especially we talk about Tua and being a small guy. He's a small guy too. He's a little bit built differently than Tua, but still, like he's very confident. And yeah, I think last year, I think a lot of people are down on him too because of what they saw last year. But he was also injured as well. But he just decided to play through it, which I thought was a bad idea at the time, especially when you have Case Keenum. Like Case Keenum isn't the greatest quarterback in the world, but I think as far as backup quarterbacks, I think you could do far worse than
Yeah.
Case Keenum. So I thought they should have started him over Baker Mayfield, especially when clearly he wasn't 100% in a lot of those games.
Yeah, I feel like it was a Baker thing though. Like I don't feel like he really was accepting no for an answer,
But
which
when you're
is
not playing well, then that hurts the rest of the team too. I can see if he was playing well, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you're throwing like 3 or 4 interceptions in the game. Like you're at some point you gotta be like, yeah, I don't want to be out there when like not like 50% of myself. Like, yeah, you have to have an honest conversation with yourself about that.
yeah. Because then you have guys like me come on these podcasts and we say these things about how you're a bum, and I don't want to call Baker a bum because he's the first overall pick for a reason. Baker
Yes.
was good in college. He was a very, very good player, but I just didn't like his attitude. So, but we're gonna give him a fair shot this year. Y'all heard it here first with Antwan Staley. Y'all heard it first. I'm gonna be nice to Baker this season. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. So Buffalo, look, man, it's a buzz in Buffalo like I haven't felt or been a part of since I was a kid. And last year it was buzzing. Last year was, man, it was like that in Buffalo. This year is like that. What are your thoughts before I even ask any specific questions? What are your thoughts going into the season on the Buffalo Bills?
I think they're gonna be the best team in the AFC. Like I think they're coming at least they're gonna come out and I think to me they should be the favorites just because obviously we talked about Josh Allen and how great he is, Stephon Diggs, but I love their defense. That's really what I think their great calling card is. And then they go out. I thought they had a nice draft too, and then they got one of my steals of the draft. I feel like in James Cook. James, like everybody knows about his brother Dalvin, but James is good too. I mean, he made some plays, especially in that national championship game against Alabama, and really fluid runner. That's something I think the Bills have been lacking for a little bit. Obviously, I don't think he'll start the season, be the starting running back, but I think later on, I think he's going to be, their starting running back and their go-to guy, especially as the weather starts to turn there. They can rely more on somebody like him. But I think that's something that they need, and and obviously it was a heartbreaking loss against the Chiefs there, but I definitely think that's going to motivate this team to. Sometimes you need to have heartbreaking losses like that in order to get to the path that you want to take or get to. And I think that's what's going to ultimately motivate this team to not only, win the AFC East again and get deep into the playoffs, but also make a trip to the Super Bowl. But yeah, I think it should be a lot of buzz. It's the first time that I think I've said that since the 90s when I was a kid too as well. So
Yeah.
I think they're that good. And, I expect a lot out of them this year.
It's crazy, man. Like as a fan, like it's crazy. And like, cause now like having honest conversations, one of the things I've always tried to pride myself on doing these podcasts was like, I try to be for the Bills. I try to be like honest and level headed and like not to let my fandom come into play. Like there's times on Twitter, I'll joke around and I'll let my fandom show. But when I'm giving takes, I try to be like honest. And it's tough because like, I really honestly feel like we're that, we're that team. And I've never been able to, I don't know how to say that without it sounding, I sound cocky and I don't want to sound cocky. I just want to be honest. We like that though.
Yeah, and I think getting Aleem up in the first round too. I think also to get Tre'Davious White back at some point too. I definitely think having those two, because I think he could be a lockdown corner, and having two really stud corners is definitely going to help when you play teams like, I know the Chiefs don't have Tyreek Hill, but they still have Patrick Mahomes, who is still dangerous. And, playing teams, whether, I know you're not too fond about the Bengals, but they do also have playmakers there, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and teams like that. They have multiple weapons at the wide receiver position. You definitely need to have two, stud corners if you want to go far, I think, especially in the AFC where it's just so, top heavy.
And it's like you mentioned 3 teams there, but it's still, you can talk about the Raiders getting better. They traded for the best wide receiver in football. Yeah. You could talk about, I mean, really, we could just go down a list, and it seems like every team in the AFC, like there's legitimately probably, I don't know, like I feel like there's more competition this year than it's been in such a long time in the AFC.
Yeah, Denver. You got Russell Wilson, so that's a lot of people picking the Raiders to be a last place team, but yeah, I think if they any other division, like they might end up winning outside of maybe the AFC East. So yeah, that's how stacked that division is. Yeah,
you got the best receiver, probably the 3rd, 4th best tight end, depending on whoever you talk to.
And
solid quarterback,
slot guy, Hunter
Renfrow.
Yeah,
and they're in a good defense. They have a good defense, and they're predicted to come in last.
Chandler Jones, you picked up Chandler Jones too to go with Max Crosby, who I really like too as well. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, they gotta. It's gonna be. I'm curious to see how they're gonna end up this year too, because they got, especially offensively, they got everything that you need, and I'm curious to see how Josh McDaniels' effect on that team is.
I'm excited for this year, man. I think I'm gonna watch the most football this season than I ever have as a football fan. Because it's just, I feel like teams are like that this year, where it's like it's that much competition everywhere, where you're going to be interested in so many different storylines.
I agree. I think like having not to plug like NFL Plus or anything, but having something like that where you may not see all the games like on that Sunday, but like to just go back and then look at some of those games like on a Monday or Tuesday, be like, hey, I missed that, but let me check out how the Raiders Chargers was over the weekend. I think everybody, especially in the AFC, you're gonna have a vested interest in what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, man. And again, the NFL keeps winning, man. Now we're on Christmas Day. We're competing with the NBA. We're gonna drown the NBA's market, which is crazy because Christmas Day has always been. It's been basketball. It's been basketball, and now we're taking it. We're taking it from the NBA.
Like it's going to be so much sports on between. You got Golden State and Memphis playing, and any other time, if it wasn't on a Sunday, that might be like the game of the day.
The game,
especially considering how they played in the playoffs last year, and Ja Morant got hurt, and he's definitely going to be looking for revenge too. So the NBA did a great job there. However, but you got 3 NFL games, so that's going to completely overshadow what they're going to do.
So it's just crazy, man. I'm grateful as a fan that this is what the league is looking like. And so all right, one more trip for us, and then we can kind of wrap it up and get on out of here. So you're in New Jersey now. There's another team out there in New Jersey, and our guy Brian Daboll just left Buffalo, and I got Joe Shine just left as well. Went out there. What is your outside looking again? Because now you're AFC East, so looking at that division, what are your thoughts about so far what we've seen out of the new head coach and that regime over there? How do you think they're doing with the job that they're trying to bring in this team this season?
I like Dabo. I think he's going to do a really good job in there. But I think they have a interesting situation, especially considering Daniel Jones has been struggling throughout the course of training camp. You have Tyrod Taylor, who's there, who's been, obviously Bills fans understand and know him very well, who's been a starter in this league and even led a team to the playoffs. Today, Dabo has said he's going to be taking some first team reps, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the starting quarterback. But
Right.
The way I see it is, if you're a legit starting quarterback, you don't let up those reps for anybody. So I think this is going to be the start of, we talked about the New York market and, quarterback controversy. I think that's the one you need to be worried about too as well. Obviously, you got Daniel Jones and they declined his fifth-year option. And, you got a guy like Tyrod Taylor who's had some bad luck in his career and different stops, but has a chance to become that starting quarterback once again and see what he can do. So I think, I would not surprise me if he ended up being a starter there and for the Giants at some point.
Yeah, I think he's better than Jones.
Right now, yes.
It just sucks because he's, like you said, he's had some bad luck, but I think it's also been on Tyrod. Like, as much as I love him, I think, I'm very, very happy that he was a
Except the
quarterback.
Chargers situation. Like, that
wasn't his fault. Yeah, that was trash. That was complete trash, man. Like, and I wish that there was, I think, isn't it in like their contracts or something like that he couldn't sue or he couldn't.
Yeah.
That's trash, man. Like, he lost not only now we know Justin was coming. Like we get it. Like, there's no question that Justin Herbert is a better quarterback. But to lose your position that way, and then again, like, it's just that was just an awful way for him to go out. But Tyrod, man, he in Buffalo, I loved him, and a lot of people did. We rooted for him, but he just didn't take chances. Like the first year he did, and then it just seemed like he got safe, and we needed more. And I hope he does good out there in New York.
I think he got the team as far as he could getting into the playoffs before, they ended up losing to Jacksonville in 2017. But I think they had to go in that different direction at the quarterback position. But I remember covering that game where they beat the Dolphins at the end of the year on New Year's Eve. And I mean, that was like a party in that locker room. But breaking that long playoff drought, I mean, it was like something to see.
Yeah, no, I remember. I still like they actually somebody last week reposted like all the guys like Jordan and Micah in front with coach and everybody. Somebody was holding their kid and like watching the Ravens game. When the Ravens won or Cincinnati beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
So like everybody watching and jumping and like so yeah, man, the moment was magical, man. It was magical. So, but hey, let's switch up from football. I always talk music. I throw music at you. We're supposed to have a show. So for those who don't know, it's partially my fault, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's your fault because your schedule is pretty consistent, but it's our sister's fault too. Her schedule is the weirdest. And I'm going to tell y'all. It's weird. We're supposed to do this hip hop show called The Culture Review. And so I want to talk a little bit of music. Y'all know I love hip hop. What you listening to right now?
I just listened to the Black Thought Danger Mouse album, which I thought was tremendous. Like, I don't know if you've heard that yet, but
I didn't listen yet. But
yeah, you got to hear that. Like, that was tremendous. The Game album came out last. I mean, it's pretty long.
It's long.
It's like one of those albums that it has some really good songs on there, but if it was like 15 instead of 30, it'd be a much better album. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Other than the Black Slim Shady song, which I thought was 10 minutes long. I just thought it was more of like a fan letter.
Yeah, they were saying a diss.
That's like a fan letter. Yeah, he's even trying to sound like Eminem and that. Yeah. So I'm just like, is this a diss or a fan? Like, this is not a diss at all.
Super corny, but the album was okay. Like I thought, like I think it was 30 songs or 29 songs.
30, yeah,
there were probably, if he would have gone safe and probably kept 18 of them, 17 of them, I feel like this would have been. He hasn't missed in his career. Like I feel like his albums are good. This one is to me is the worst one only because it's watered down. It's too much. Yeah.
It's too long. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, yeah, make it a 15, 16, 17 track album, and we could be talking about one of the better albums of the year. But you know, you have to judge it how it is, and
Yep.
like it's just too long for me.
It's way too long. So this is a Buffalo show, so I'm always gonna drop my boys. You listen to any of the newest Griselda? They drop every week.
Yeah, there's always something going on, like
Every
between
week.
Biddy and Conway. Like, yeah, it's like so. Yeah, I'm always like glued into what they're doing, always because they're some of my favorites in the game right now.
Yeah, they just had the Drum Work Fest in Buffalo over the past weekend, and that was a really, really good time. Conway killed it. He absolutely destroyed it. Shout out to everybody over there at Drum Work, Buffalo Soprano family, or you know, shout out to everybody. Benny, shout out to who am I missing? West Side, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm waiting for Stove God is my guy. Stove God Cooks,
yeah,
waiting for his album to drop. He recently signed the deal with Griselda. He dropped the one with Westside. It was more like a
yeah.
joint album than it was a Westside Gun album.
Pretty much, yeah.
Did you like that? I know.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I know she ain't like. But did you like the
I
album?
like West Side Gun, so yeah, that's my guy. Like, and I like wrestling, so he always brings up like the wrestling references. So that's always fun for me. But yeah, I enjoyed the album for sure.
Yeah, the mix was a little off, but I get it. He purposely kept it raw. But
Yeah,
I would have.
I would have
I
tuned it
love it.
up, but yeah, it's definitely it's interesting to kind of hear it like raw like that because it definitely has a different sound to it.
So outside of hip hop, you listening to anything right now? Or anybody catching your ear?
I mean, I'm always like, I listen to alternative. Like, I'm a big R&B guy, so I'm always listening to stuff, R&B wise. I think I can't even. I forgot who. I had somebody in mind. I've spaced out, but yeah, I'm always like glued into R&B, especially like that's kind of what I listen to going to games, like when I'm covering stuff. So I kind of just want to be mellow. Like, I
Mhm.
don't want to be like hype in the, Lil Jon and the club or whatever. Like, you just kind of want a smooth, soothing ride,
Got it.
especially when you're covering sports.
Yeah, no, you got it. You got to do it because me, I mess around and lose all my energy by the end of the first quarter.
Now, if I was like watching the game, like as a fan, then yeah, I might, depending on what kind of mood I'm trying to get in, and yeah, I might be a little hype. But even then, like you gonna lose, like you say, you're gonna lose your energy by the time the game starts.
Yeah. How is that? And this is the last question, I promise. But how is that for you? Like as a, because this is your job, obviously, and you love the sport, you love football. I know who your team is. You don't publicly really say it often, so I won't throw you under the bus here. But
No,
like, how
I'll
is that
say
for you
it.
when you cover?
Yeah,
Oh, go.
I grew up a Raider fan, so
Yeah,
it's not like, I mean, it's different because I'm not actively like cheering for them to do. I just you hope for them to do well, but I've covered sports for so long. It's not like I'm just like if they win, that's great. If they lose, then I'm just gonna keep going on about my business. But yeah, I'm more like invested as a fan, probably more in like hockey and then college
wow.
basketball, especially college basketball and the NBA too, the NBA as
So
well.
you don't ever really get a chance to go back to Raiders games and really just fan out.
Nah, not really. I mean, I've seen them
Man.
play as covering them a few times, but
Yeah, but
it's
you don't
kind of
get to
weird.
fan out.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I'm just like in the press box, and part of me is just like dying in the inside in a way, like the kid in me, and then the adult in me is just like
It's work.
calm and
Yeah.
collective.
See, man, and that's part of the reason why. So, like, I enjoy doing the podcast. I enjoy working for SB Nation and Buffalo Rumblers because it allows me, like, I'm covering the team, but it allows me to be the fan. I, I've had a couple opportunities come up in a way to where I could cover the Bills and like have to cover them, and honestly, I turned them down because I just don't feel like I would enjoy it as much. I don't ever want to get to the place where I can't just enjoy my team.
Well, you will. It was just in a different way. Like it's not the same way. Like you should do it at once. You should at least cover a game and see what it's like for at once, just to see, just to kind of compare it. Like, but you will enjoy it. It just be in a different way. Like I still love the NFL. I still love like covering football. It's just I'm enjoying it in a different way as opposed to just rooting for a singular team. Now, like so wide focus what the complete league. Like I enjoy just watching, Jaguars and the Houston Texans on a Tuesday. I mean on a Thursday night. Like
Right, right.
I'll watch that. Like bottomless teams, but I enjoy the NFL so much that it doesn't necessarily faze me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Like I enjoy it where I watch anything, but I mean, like when I go to Buffalo, for instance, for the Tennessee game, the Monday night for the opener, I'm fanning out, man. Like I'm if it's tables, I'm jumping through them. If it's shots to take, I'm taking them. Like it's happening.
Well, that's different. I mean, like if the Bills play like the Jaguars or something like that, like just like I think it would be good for you just to have that experience, just to be like, being a lot, especially with the locker rooms back open now, like just to be able to talk to the players because you get like a different insight
right.
about.
Yeah, the draft was fun. The draft was fun.
So you get like a different inside information and that type of deal. So it's a good experience to have.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you as always, man. We're gonna have to do this again during the season. Get you on and just chop it up.
Bills and Jets play each other twice, so how to find me.
So when the Jets come to Buffalo, are you traveling with the team or are you covering them from Jersey? Okay, so
I'll be in Buffalo.
So this is the issue then. I'm trying to figure out if I should come to the Jets game in East Rutherford or if I should come to Buffalo, because like Buffalo, I feel like, that's home, the food, everything. But then it's New York. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Well, either way, like, I'm gonna be out in Buffalo too, because like I know some people there, and then we're gonna hang out and go get some wings somewhere. Like I know this girl, and she has this wing spot there. I forgot what it's called. I'll let you know off air what it is because I can't really think about it. But yeah, I was gonna go hang with her and some other friends. But I'll definitely be out in Buffalo.
Right.
If you come to Jersey, then we'll do it up there too.
All right, we're gonna rock it out, man. So why don't you let everybody know where they can find your content and your work, and we're gonna get on out of here.
New York Daily News. You find my work there, and also find me at Antwan Staley on Twitter.
All right. Y'all know how we do it over here at Buffalo Rumblings. It's your boy, Jay Spencer King. Y'all love each other. Take care of each other and live in peace. As always, stay positive, test negative. Go Bills. You ain't got to say it. I know, man. It's cool.
Code of conduct.